Israel never starts the war, a nation surrounded by enemies. People say Israel never starts the war, but is that really true or not? Let's find out together from 1948 to 2025. Today, we are diving into the full, detailed story of Israel's wars, a nation that has been fighting since the day it was born, surrounded by enemies on all sides. From the 1948 War of Independence to the latest conflicts with Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, and Yemen, we will explore why each war started, how battles unfolded, the strategies used, casualties, and political consequences. We'll explore who started each war, when and why. From 1948 to 2025, this is the story of Israel, a nation surrounded by enemies, fighting only to survive. If you love real history, courage, and truth, stay tuned till the end. And before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. How Israel became an independent country. Before diving into the wars, it's important to understand how Israel became a nation. After World War II and the horrors of the Holocaust, global support for a Jewish homeland increased. The United Nations proposed a partition plan in 1947 to divide the British Mandate of Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem under international control. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion officially declared the establishment of the State of Israel, marking the birth of a sovereign Jewish nation. Immediately, surrounding Arab nations rejected the UN plan, claiming that a Jewish state in Palestine was illegitimate. This set the stage for the First Arab-Israeli War the very next day. Israel's declaration was not just a political move, it was a survival decision. The new nation faced the enormous challenge of building a government, army, and infrastructure while being threatened by far larger neighboring armies. 1948-1949, the War of Independence. Start and causes. On May 14, 1948, Israel after independence declaration. Immediately, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded, rejecting the UN partition plan that created Israel. The Arab goal was to eliminate the new state, believing it could not survive as a small Jewish nation in a predominantly Arab region. How battles unfolded. Jerusalem. Fierce house-to-house fighting erupted, with civilians trapped between front lines. Key operations included Operation Nakshon, designed to break the siege of Jerusalem, and Operation Yoav, which secured the Negev desert and southern cities. Northern Front. Syrian and Lebanese forces advanced from the Golan Heights and northern Galilee. Israel conducted counterattacks and fortified positions, often with limited supplies. Southern Front. Egyptian forces attempted to push into the Negev, but Israeli forces used mobile defense tactics and surprise counterattacks to repel them. Casualties and impact: Israeli soldiers and civilians. 373 dead Arab forces, 10,000 dead displaced Palestinians, hundreds of thousands, creating a long-term refugee crisis. Aftermath: Israel survived, expanded beyond the UN-designated borders, and established its first government and defense institutions. The war also left deep scars, as families on both sides mourned the dead and lost homes. 1956, the Suez Crisis. Start and causes. Egypt's President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal and blockaded Israeli shipping routes. Israel coordinated with Britain and France in a secret plan to remove Nasser from power and reopen the canal. How battles unfolded. Sinai Peninsula. Israeli forces launched a rapid ground invasion, capturing key towns and artillery positions. Operations focused on destroying Egyptian fortifications, securing the canal region, and demonstrating Israel's military coordination with allies. Air and ground forces worked in synchronization, highlighting Israel's evolving strategy. Casualties: Israel, 231, dead Egypt, or 1,000 dead. Aftermath: Israel withdrew due to US and USSR pressure, but proved its military capabilities. Civilians in the Sinai suffered heavily from bombardments, leading to temporary displacement. 1967, the Six-Day War. Start and causes: rising tensions as Egypt closed the Strait of Tiran. Syria massed troops on the Golan Heights, and Jordan joined the Arab coalition. Israel launched a preemptive strike on June 5th to prevent a multi-front attack. How battles unfolded: airstrikes. Israeli Air Force destroyed Egyptian airfields within hours, leaving Egypt defenseless in the air. Ground offensives: ground forces captured the Sinai Peninsula, Gaza Strip, West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Golan Heights in just 6 days. Urban fighting. In cities like Jerusalem and Gaza, street-by-street battles required careful coordination to minimize civilian casualties while pushing out enemy forces. Casualties: Israel, 776 dead. Arab forces, 20,000 dead. Aftermath: Israel tripled its territory, gained control of Jerusalem, and cemented its military reputation. Civilians on both sides faced destruction and displacement, adding complexity to peace efforts. 1968-1970, the War of Attrition. Start and causes: Egypt refused to accept its defeat in 1967 and initiated continuous attacks along the Suez Canal to wear down Israeli forces. How battles unfolded: Egyptian artillery, commando raids and airstrikes targeted Israeli positions daily. Israel countered with counter-battery fire, airstrikes and raids deep into Egyptian territory. Sniper and reconnaissance operations were heavily used on both sides to gather intelligence. Casualties: Israel, 1,424 dead. Egypt, 10,000 dead. Aftermath: Israel maintained positions but realized that fortifications and technology alone would not secure peace. It also improved air defense systems, learning lessons for future wars. 1973, the Yom Kippur War. Start and causes: On October 6, 1973, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack during Yom Kippur, hoping to reclaim lost territories. How battles unfolded: Egyptian forces crossed the Suez Canal. Syrian forces attacked the Golan Heights. Israel was initially caught off guard but regrouped. Commanders like Ariel Sharon and Moshe Dayan organized counterattacks. Israel encircled Egypt's Third Army, pushing into Syrian territory in the north. Casualties: Israel, 2,688 dead. Arab forces, 18,500 dead. Aftermath: Israel survived and negotiated the 1979 Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty, but the war left a psychological impact and exposed vulnerabilities in intelligence and preparedness. 1982, the First Lebanon War. Start and causes: Israel invaded Lebanon to destroy PLO bases, which were launching attacks on northern Israel. How battles unfolded: Siege of Beirut, urban combat, artillery bombardments, and PLO evacuation. Israel advanced with heavy mechanized units while also conducting intelligence-led raids against militant positions. Casualties: Israel, 675 dead. Lebanese and Palestinians, 17,000 dead, mostly civilians. Aftermath: Hezbollah emerged as a new threat, and Israel maintained a security zone in southern Lebanon until 2000. Civilians suffered severe losses, highlighting the cost of prolonged occupation. 1987-1993. The First Intifada. Start and causes: Palestinian uprising due to occupation involving protests, strikes, and civil disobedience. How battles unfolded: Local militias threw stones and Molotov cocktails. Israel deployed troops, curfews, and checkpoints. Urban areas like Gaza City became battlefields of daily unrest. Casualties: Israel, 328 dead Palestinians, 1,000 dead. Aftermath: Oslo Accords gave limited Palestinian self-rule, but left many issues unresolved. 2000-2005, the Second Intifada, start and causes: peace talks collapsed. Ariel Sharon's Temple Mount visit triggered intense violence. How battles unfolded: suicide bombings targeted buses, cafes, and public areas. Israeli military reoccupied Palestinian cities and launched precise strikes. Gaza disengagement in 2005 ended direct occupation but left security tensions high. Casualties: Israel, 1,000 dead Palestinians, 3,000 dead. Aftermath: Israel reinforced security and began constructing barriers, checkpoints, and intelligence systems. 2006, the Second Lebanon War, start and causes: Hezbollah kidnapped 2 Israeli soldiers. How battles unfolded: 34-day conflict with extensive airstrikes and artillery. Hezbollah launched thousands of rockets into northern Israel. Israeli ground incursions targeted missile launch sites and tunnels. Casualties: Israel, 109 dead. Lebanon, 1,200 dead. Aftermath: UN-mediated ceasefire. Hezbollah remained a threat. 2008-2009, Operation Cast Lead, start and causes: Hamas rocket attacks from Gaza prompted Israeli airstrikes and ground operations. How battles unfolded: 3-week campaign with focus on tunnels, weapons storage, and leadership positions. Urban warfare and civilian evacuations highlighted the war's humanitarian cost. Casualties: Israel, 10 dead Palestinians, 1,400 dead, majority civilians. Aftermath: Gaza infrastructure severely damaged, humanitarian crisis worsened. 2012, Operation Pillar of Defense, start and causes: rocket attacks from Gaza escalated. How battles unfolded: targeted airstrikes, including assassination of Hamas military leader Ahmed Jabari. Casualties: Israel, 1 dead Palestinians, 160 dead. Aftermath: Egypt-mediated ceasefire restored temporary calm. 2014, Operation Protective Edge, start and causes: murder of 3 Israeli teens triggered widespread rocket fire. How battles unfolded: 50-day campaign with ground invasion to destroy tunnels and Hamas positions. Urban combat caused civilian casualties and massive infrastructure damage. Casualties: Israel, 73 dead Palestinians, 2,100 dead, mostly civilians. Aftermath: Gaza extensively damaged, humanitarian crisis worsened. 2021, Operation Guardian of the Walls, start and causes: tensions in East Jerusalem escalated into rocket fire from Gaza. How battles unfolded: 11-day air campaign targeting Hamas tunnels and command centers. Casualties: Israel, 13 dead Palestinians, 250 dead. Aftermath: Egypt-mediated ceasefire. Tensions remained high. 2023 to 2025. Gaza War, start and causes: October 7, 2023, Hamas launched a massive attack, killing civilians and taking hostages. How battles unfolded: Israel conducted large-scale airstrikes and ground operations. Urban combat, tunnel warfare, and precise retaliatory strikes took place. Casualties: Israelis, 1,200 dead Palestinians, 67,000 dead, millions displaced. Aftermath: humanitarian crisis continues, war ongoing. Yemen versus Israel, 2024 to 2025. Who attacked? First, the Houthis from Yemen fired the first missiles and drones at Israel. This was in solidarity with Palestinians and Iran-backed. Why it started? The Houthis wanted to pressure Israel amid ongoing conflicts in Gaza and show alignment with Iran's regional policy. Timeline and key events: October 2023, Houthis launched initial missile and drone attacks targeting Israeli-linked shipping in the Red Sea. May 4, 2025, Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. 8 civilians were injured, flights disrupted. August 22, 2025, another ballistic missile with cluster warheads struck near Tel Aviv. Iron Dome intercepted some attacks, a few civilians were injured. August 24, 2025, Israel retaliated with targeted airstrikes on Sana'a, hitting Houthi military compounds, drone launch sites, and fuel storage. September 1, 2025, Israel killed top Houthi leaders, including Prime Minister Ahmed Galeb al-Rahawi. September 24, 2025, Houthi drone strike hit Eilat, injuring 22 civilians. Casualties and damage: Israel, dozens killed or injured. Minor infrastructure damage to airports and Red Sea ports. Houthis, Yemen, 500 killed, including fighters and some civilians. Extensive destruction of military and civilian infrastructure. Nature of the conflict: proxy war backed by Iran, focused on missiles and drones. Israel used preemptive airstrikes and defensive systems like Iron Dome, threatened Red Sea shipping lanes, regional stability, and civilian populations. 2024-2025, Israel versus Iran. Start and causes. Iran initiated direct aggression against Israel. On October 1, 2024, Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles targeting Israeli military bases, strategic airfields, and intelligence facilities. This unprecedented strike was in retaliation for Israel's covert assassinations of top Iranian military leaders, nuclear scientists, and commanders of Iran-backed militias in Syria and Iraq. Israel did not start this war. It was defending itself against a large-scale Iranian offensive. How battles unfolded. The missile barrage struck several military and civilian targets in Israel. Israel's Iron Dome and David's Sling defense systems intercepted the majority of the missiles, preventing catastrophic damage. A small number of missiles penetrated defenses, causing localized damage to airfields and infrastructure. Israel launched Operation Days of Repentance on October 26, 2024, a series of precise airstrikes against Iranian missile production sites in Iran, Syria, and Iraq air defense installations, command and control centers used to coordinate attacks on Israel. Both sides engaged in covert operations, cyber warfare, and drone surveillance throughout late 2024 and early 2025, escalating tensions across the region. Casualties: Israel, 28 dead, including military personnel and limited civilian casualties. Iran, Shanos, 1,060 dead, including military officers, nuclear scientists, and militia fighters. Infrastructure: damage to missile production facilities, airfields, and command centers. Aftermath: Israel successfully defended its territory and degraded Iran's missile and air defense capabilities. Iran remained a regional threat, continuing proxy attacks through Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Tensions increased in Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon due to Iran-backed groups' involvement. The conflict highlighted Israel's defensive capabilities and Iran's willingness to launch large-scale missile attacks. U.S. entry into the Israel-Iran War. By mid-2025, after weeks of Iranian missile attacks on Israel and U.S. bases, the region reached breaking point. On June 21, 2025, the United States launched Operation Midnight Hammer, striking Iran's nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with B-2 Spirit stealth bombers armed with GBU-57 bunker-buster bombs, along with cruise missiles. The U.S. claimed success, crippling Iran's nuclear program, but some facilities survived. Iran fired hundreds of missiles in response. Most were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome and U.S. air defense system. By late August 2025, mounting losses, international pressure, and back-channel diplomacy led to a temporary ceasefire. Iran agreed to halt attacks in exchange for sanctions relief talks, while Israel and the US suspended further airstrikes. The war didn't end through victory. It ended through exhaustion and negotiation. Fighting stopped, but tensions stayed high, marking only a pause in a conflict far from truly over. Survival. Amid conflict, Israel's history is defined by war, survival, and strategy. Millions of lives lost, cities destroyed, and human suffering endured. Despite victories, peace remains elusive. Israel's military power has ensured survival, but at a heavy human cost. And that's the full story of Israel's wars from 1948 to 2025. If you found this video informative, like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth historical narratives. Tell us in the comments, does Israel's strength bring stability, or does it fuel more conflict? Stay informed, stay curious, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.